just give us a sense of where this defense is right now, especially, there's so many question marks if there's even going to be a season or not, under what circumstances. How do you sort of go into that with your players?
There are a lot of question marks right now, but we look at that as a positive. During this quarantine, I think we've taken a step forward with our defense in many ways, and one of the main ways is mentally. Since we haven't been able to do things on the field, we've been able to meet and do things off the field. And anytime you can get in the meeting room and expand your knowledge of the game with the players, your knowledge of the playbook, you're improving and you're gaining ground on things that you need to. Obviously, we had 8 practices that we couldn't knock out. So what we did, but in the meantime, is we were able to knock things out mentally. So I think we've improved. Our knowledge of the playbook has expanded exponentially. Our players are getting more comfortable with everything we're doing. We've added some new wrinkles, some new adjustments. And hopefully, obviously, it's up to the state health and conference officials, but hopefully we can put that to work this season.
Hey, Cameron.
Court, this is Ken Spencer with WHAS 11. In what way, you've been on this staff when there's been a lot of turnover as far as the coaching staff on the defensive side of the ball. You've seen these guys head spinning a little bit. How have you been able to see that kind of, with there being some continuity, how has that progressed with your guys?
Continuity equals consistency. You wonder why all the good defenses in the country are good. It's because they're consistent year in, year out, but they've had the same scheme and continuity. Like you said, when you're changing coordinators every year, you're never going to get comfortable with what you're doing because you're always having to learn something new. You can't play fast. So the more continuity you get, the guys around, one another are making the checks. They're comfortable with what they're doing. They're not looking around, wondering what if. And like I said, the main thing you can do is play fast. The best defenses play fast. They don't think. They go out and react, and they're consistent. So having the same, scheme, same coordinator for 2 years in a row is definitely going to pay dividends for our defense.
Hey, Court, Cameron from the Courier Journal. You mentioned kind of just being in the room, kind of being able to go over film and kind of go over the mental side of the game. How much is having these guys back? Rajay, obviously, Yasir, Nick, just and the depth you guys have. How much different is that room this year than maybe where it was this time last year?
A lot different. There's a major difference. You look at somebody like Rajay, and not only did he have to learn a new scheme last year, but he had to learn a new position. He went from playing corner to playing outside linebacker, and those are 2 completely different positions. So having a year under their belts, whether it's Rajay, Yasir, Nick, they're just going to become more comfortable. Like I said, they're going to play a lot faster. And at the end of the day, it's only going to help out our defense. So this whole year, we've made leaps and bounds as far as, especially like I said during this quarantine, the mental side of the game. And I'm excited, hopefully, for them to show it off this fall.
Court, this is Kent again with WHAS 11. I would imagine, look, there's so many questions from everybody, coaches, players, media, fans, about what the upcoming college football season is going to look like. But I think probably the most important questions you get are from your players. How do you even just deal with that? Because they're looking at you guys, I would imagine, for advice.
Yeah, and all we can tell our players is control what you can control. Be where your feet are, be in the moment, and control what you control. We can't control, what the health officials decisions they're going to make, or the state officials or the conference officials. We can't control any of that. What we can control is, preparing ourselves like we're going to play on September 2nd, putting ourselves in the best possible position to be successful, whether that's in the classroom, whether it's on the field, whatever the case may be, in scenarios that we can control, we're going to do so. What's most important for us is obviously the health and safety of our players and our staff, and let the conference officials take care of, the decisions to have a season. But in the meantime, we're going to do everything we can right now and in the next month and a half going forward to prepare in the best possible, ways to play a season starting on September 2nd.
Court, Rick Bozich at WDRB. The Big Ten and Pac-12 have already gone to conference-only games, and there's been talk the ACC may follow, and there's even was one thing floated where you'd play 5 teams, but you'd play them twice, which has never been done. How would that, if that happens, how would that affect you guys? And how would you guys prepare for something like that?
We would treat, we're going to treat every opponent the same. It doesn't matter if we're playing a conference opponent or a non-conference opponent. We're going to focus on the task at hand, and that's a new opponent each and every week. Every opponent in the ACC conference is a formidable opponent, and we're going to give them the utmost respect that they deserve. But we can't treat any team that we play on our schedule one way or another. We got to treat everybody the same, prepare, each and every week the same way, and then handle, like I said, 1 week at a time.
I guess would you like playing the same team, 5 teams twice in 1 year?
I just like playing football. I just like winning. I like going out and competing, and doing everything we can, like I said, in a preparation standpoint, to put ourselves in the best possible position to succeed. So I'm a competitor. I don't care if we're playing against an ACC team, a Pac-12 team, a Big Ten team, a D3 team. We're going to go out as a defense and prepare and play the same. It doesn't matter. It's a faceless opponent. It's a nameless opponent, and we're going to go out and do everything we can to win each and every week.
Jody Dillon with Cardinal Authority. With what you when you talked about Rajay, and obviously, like you said, he was learning a new position and everything last year. What did you talk about this offseason with him going in, and what did you try in the few spring practices that you did have? How did you see his improvement maybe on the field in the scheme?
Well, I told Rajay, if you want to play at the next level, which obviously every one of our guys have a dream and ambition to do, that you've got to get better in all facets of your game. From a knowledge standpoint, taking more control out there. Rajay is a even-keeled guy. If you know Rajay off the field, he's quiet. He's got a low demeanor. And I told Rajay, you got to become more vocal. Rajay is extremely intelligent. I told him, off the field, we need to do everything we can with the group as far as, learning the scheme and talking together. And then when you get on the field, you need to speak up. You need to take control. You need to take that quarterback of the defense type mentality with the rest of the linebackers. So vocally, he can improve. I think he can improve against the run game, setting edges, becoming more physical. And he did a great job last year. He led our team in tackles for loss, but he can still, find ways to get better, whether it's from a fundamental or technique standpoint. Or whatever the case may be. And then in the pass game, just understanding what everybody else is doing around him, even that much better. He already has an understanding of what he's doing, but the more you understand what people are doing around you, the more comfortable you feel, the faster you play, and the more effective you are. So he can work on everything, and then just maintaining weight. We want him to continue to gain weight because he is going to have to set edges. Corner's a little bit different than outside backer. In corner, you're playing against a receiver who's anywhere from 170 to 200 pounds, and you're running. He might be running verticals every play, so you got to be a little lighter. At outside backer, you might be setting edges on a 330-pound pulling guard, and if you're not strong enough at the point of attack, if you're not sturdy enough or big enough, it can be a long day for you. So there's multiple ways, whether it's communicating, gaining weight, run game, pass game. I think there's multiple ways that Rajay can get better, but he's done a great job this offseason. I think he's going to have an outstanding year.
Court, this is Kent Taylor from Wave TV. You guys have seemingly had a lot of success in the last couple of months, but what kind of challenges have come up in recruiting during this process? I mean, I know you have the virtual tours and everything, and you've gotten a significant number of commitments.
I think the most challenging thing is just not being able to have kids on campus or being able to evaluate kids during camp periods. I think the springtime is huge for, getting kids up here on unofficial visits, showing them what you have to offer, whether it's academically, athletically, socially with dorms or whatever that nature may be. And then obviously spiritually, you can get them around people like Chris Morgan in our FCA program. And when they can't come, and step foot on campus and see something for themselves in person, you're already, that's already a challenge that you have going against you. So seeing that, the unofficial visits, not being able to do that, And then obviously the camp evaluations are huge. The huddle film and everything during the season speaks for itself. But if you can see a kid work in person, it'll really confirm or, unconfirm an assessment on a player. So those are the two things, unofficial visits and assessments of players during camps, that I think has really hurt recruiting. But like you said, I think our staff has done an outstanding job with the virtual visits. I think our staff's done an outstanding job with our communication with these student athletes and potential, future players. And I think we're going to have success going forward as well.
Court Cameron from the Courier Journal again. Just last year, obviously, you guys wanted to build a lot of depth, and specifically at a linebacker spot, even the two outside spots specifically as well. You guys seem to have done that a little bit from the year you guys had last year to now. I guess, kind of, do you feel like you have the depth you want there? How can you continue to add more throughout the fall camp?
Yeah, I think we've done a great job since the season ended last year at building depth. Obviously, at the outside linebacker position, at the dog position, you have two guys with significant experience with Yasir Abdullah and Nick Okiki, and they've only gotten better since the end of last season. Then you add someone like Thurman Gathers in there and Cam Wilson, it was great about Cam this past season because Cam was a mid-year guy, so he got 7 practices under his belt, which was great from a physical standpoint and a mental standpoint as well. So you're deep at that position. And then obviously at the guard position, Rajay's got significant experience. He's got a year under his belt playing the outside linebacker position. You got 2 players in Marvin Dallas and Zay Peterson, who were both able to come as mid-year players as well. So they've got a little experience, no game experience, but they've got practice experience under their belt. And then you got a player like Trinell Troutman, who's been able to play both the outside linebacker position and the safety positions, both safety positions. So you got a guy in him who's got position flexibility. So that's how you build depth. You find players who can play a multitude of positions, and obviously you bring players back who've got significant experience from the year past. So I'm confident, I'm comfortable with what we got coming back at the outside linebacker position. And like I said, I'm excited to see what they do this season.
Court, hey, it's Jody again. What did you all see with Troutman in the versatility to be able to make him, to give him the chance to make that move in position?
Just that kid. The thing about that kid that separates him is his competitiveness. He's not scared of any kind of challenge. He had never played the outside linebacker position this past year, and we threw him in there, midway during the year, and he excelled at it. He's one of the toughest players on the football team. He's smart. He's instinctive. He's good against the run and the pass. And he's a total team player. He's always, thinking about the team first. He's a we guy, not a me guy. And any, position that he needs to play to help our team, he's going to do. He wants to be on the field. He's extremely competitive, like I said. And he's a winner. He comes from a great program in South Florida, St. Thomas Aquinas, and that's what they do. I think the culture that he had in this program has translated to what he's done here. And there's a reason why he's played multiple positions, but he's been successful in all those things. So you take a kid like that, Jody, with his competitive nature, his team first attitude, and he's going to be successful.
Court, this is Ken again with WHAS 11. Was there a guy, maybe there was a couple guys, in those 7 spring practices that you just saw them really take their game to a different level?
I think on all 3, aspects, phases, levels, if you want to call it, there was somebody that stood out, the D-line, linebacker, and the back end. One guy who really personally stuck out to me on the front end was Jared Goldwire. I think he took significant strides on that D-line from what he did last season to what he showed this spring. He's got all the talent in the world. He's got the frame. He's got the athletic ability. If he continues to put together what he did this spring, he's going to have a tremendous year for us. So that's one player. If I were to pick and choose one player, that would be one guy. But on all 3 levels, there was guys that stood out. And the main thing about that, though, is we can't let them get complacent. We've always got to obviously instill that competitive drive, create competition, and all that's going to do is create a better defense.
Court, Cameron again, going back to the depth you mentioned. You said you're really confident in the group you have. When you're kind of thinking about rotations, as a coach, does it give you maybe a kind of a peace of mind knowing how much depth and versatility you have there at outside backer this year?
Yeah, I mean, it allows you to obviously play multiple players, keep people fresh. And like you just said, Cameron, when guys do come out of the game who have maybe more experience than others, in past seasons, you can throw somebody in there who you're comfortable with putting in the game. So it does create a comfort factor for a coach, knowing that there's multiple people at each position who can do things for you. And then, like I said, it adds value in what you can do schematically. And like if there's two inside backers or two outside backers who are playing the same position, but they're both being productive, we can implement new schemes and play players at different positions to expand their roles. So all it does with that competition within a position, like I said, it creates, it's a good problem to have, and it creates, new things and new ideas that you can do for as a defensive coach. So it's always a good thing.
And then one follow-up to that, you mentioned Yasir and Nick. Obviously, those two guys bring a lot of experience, had pretty good years last year. Just what have they been like this offseason, and how much have they kind of continue to push each other?
They've been great. They're two, obviously, along with Rajay. They're two out of the main three leaders in the room. They push each other each and every day. Whether it's a Zoom meeting, asking each other questions, or being the first person to answer a question when I ask it, to in the weight room right now, pushing each other in their workouts. They both have unique skill sets. Yasir is one of the most athletic players on our football team. He's one of the fastest players on our football team. And anytime you get a guy who's 225, 230 pounds who can run like he can, you can do different things defensively and create mismatches. And then Nick's got one of the highest football IQs on our team. And anytime you got a player with his IQ and his headiness, you can move him around and do different things with him. And he's comfortable doing it. And he does it, obviously, playing fast. So those two have two unique skill sets. But like I said, there's a couple of guys that are right there with them. And Thurman Gathers, he's got a unique skill set in himself. He's one of the best pass rushers on our team. And then Cam Wilson, obviously he just came from high school football, but he's extremely explosive. There's a reason why he was so highly recruited, because he can do multiple things. He's extremely athletic, and he's very smart as well. He had one of the top GPAs on our whole football team this spring semester. So I'm excited about the dog position and all the skill sets that each player brings.
Court, talking about Thurman there for a second, am I remembering right last year, you guys used him a lot late in the year on third down. I'm assuming just on the pass rush down, and that was kind of what he played. What does he kind of bring? Because he's got that long, lengthy kind of frame. What does he bring to that position as far as pass rushing is concerned?
Yeah, you're correct on that. Last year we used him in third down pass rushing situations. Some of our sub packages we used him. The thing that he brings in his skill set is just his get off, his quickness, and his ability to bend. He can really bend. And when you're a pass rusher, if you can't bend and you're stiff, you're not gonna be very productive, and we're not gonna get a lot of sacks. So he's got that going for him. And the thing that he's really done a great job of this offseason is he's put on a lot of weight. He's really dedicated himself to his nutrition, to himself in the weight room, getting stronger, bulking up. So he's not just a third down guy, but he's a 3 down player, first, second, and third down. So he can do a lot of different things pass rush wise, Jody, but what he can do if he gains weight, which he's done, and he keeps that weight on, he can really be an all down guy for us, which I'm really excited about.
And one last question with Marvin on the kind of, obviously not a freshman. He's got some experience, comes from a very good junior college. But when he came to camp, I know it was not long after he finished camp that he made a commitment. I think you guys were impressed with kind of just the style and the versatility that he brings. What did you see in spring from him, being a bit of an older guy and being a JUCO guy?
thing that impressed me most about Marvin was his athletic ability and his length. Anytime you can get a guy out in open space who's long, he covers ground quickly, and that's what you want. He can, really shrink throwing lanes in a hurry in the pass game, and he's long and can set edges, and he can get off blocks quickly in the run game. So his athletic ability really stuck out to me. His length really stuck out to me. The more weight that he gains, the more effective he's going to be, and obviously the more that he can get in the playbook, which he did a good job this spring. He was able to adapt and pick up things, in the playbook and in the classroom. So I'm excited about Marvin. He's a guy who's definitely going to help us out this fall, whether it's on defense or in the special teams game. He's got a lot of versatility. And he does a lot of things well, so I'm excited about him.
Anything else for Court? All right. Thanks, Court. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, guys.